Although the biceps muscle is involved in horizontal and vertical pulls, for its maximum growth, you have to include some form of biceps curls in your training. The most common biceps mistakes and how to fix them. Shoulder shrugging is one of the most common mistakes during biceps curls. The biceps brachii flex the elbow, and its long head, to some extent, flex the shoulders, not elevate them. When you elevate the shoulders, you engage the upper part of the trapezius at the expense of the biceps. Pull your shoulders down and back before you start the lift and keep them down throughout the exercise. Although flexing the shoulder is another function of the long biceps head, it's only valid to a certain extent. Excessive shoulder flexion causes a higher involvement of the shoulder's front head at the expense of the biceps. During biceps curls, the elbows should be in approximately the same place. They can deviate slightly forward from their original position when lifting the load. However, the deviation should be moderate, so that there is no excessive activation of the shoulder's front part at the expense of the biceps. Lean against the wall on which you place your elbows and keep them on it the entire range of motion, if you can't keep your elbows in approximately the same position during the whole range of motion. Although through a shortened range of motion you can focus on specific parts of the biceps, which we already explained in the previous video, the full range of motion leads in most cases to higher muscle gains, better mobility, and different types of muscle growth than a shortened range of motion. Thus, even during biceps curls, have a precisely given range of motion that you don't shorten to maximize the growth of the entire biceps, and not just the part of it. Range of motion should start from full extension and continue to full contraction. Elbow movement, range of motion, and movement path vary depending on the particular variation of the biceps lift. The inability to feel the biceps sufficiently can also hinder your progress. It was shown in an 8-week study. Lifters who focused on the maximum contraction of the biceps achieve almost twice the muscle growth than those who are lifting weights without instruction to focus on working muscles. Subscribe and turn on notifications to not miss a single video. The two following studies examining biceps engagement in several different exercises showed the highest biceps activation during concentration curls. It's easy to connect the mind with the biceps during this exercise. Thus, it may be why it had slightly higher activation than other exercises. We discussed them in the previous video. Tempo in the positive phase of the movement can be explosive, but control the lowering phase, so your biceps, not gravity, do the work. The controlled repetition rate is safer than its uncontrolled version. Be aware you can increase the activity of the brachialis by slowing down the lowering phase of the movement at the expense of the biceps. So please don't overdo it. Avoid excessive cheating in most cases, for health reasons and activation of the required muscles. Using negative repetitions may make sense if you're advanced and have a sparring partner, or help yourself with the other hand while using one-hand lifts. You can use the load above maximum, to which the muscles can respond by growth. To avoid excessive cheating, keep the whole body tight and reduce the weight if needed, so you can perform the correct technique. Therefore, before you start the exercise, tighten the buttocks, abdomen and quads so that the lift is safe, stable and effective. The wrist, which otherwise works isometrically during biceps curls, should remain stable throughout the entire range of motion, so that you maximize the engagement of the biceps. A grip with the barbell variant shouldn't be tight as during pressing exercises. It can be a little looser, with an emphasis on turning little finger edges upwards at the end of the lift, such as with one-handed variants, which again can increase biceps activation, because another function of the biceps is supination. In most cases, choose a shoulder with grip. A narrow grip may reduce biceps activation by up to 13%. Extremely wide or narrow grips put more stress on the wrist. Biceps brachii consist of two heads. You engage the short head of the biceps primarily with exercises with the elbows in front of the body, such as curls on the squat bench, spider curls and chin-ups. The long head of the biceps is maximally engaged in lifts when the elbows are behind the body. It includes biceps curls with the back on an incline bench, Bayesian curls or drag curls. Unfortunately, the standard biceps curls variations activate the biceps maximally only in part of the exercise. It's proven by the following study examining the effect of elbow angle during the performance of 3 different exercises on biceps activation. Biceps curls with the upper arm in front of the body most activated the biceps in the lower part. Contrary, exercises with the elbows along and behind the body led to the highest activation in the upper part of the exercise. The best way to engage both heads may be to use a combination of chin-ups, primarily activating the short head of the biceps with Bayesian curls. During Bayesian curls, you can adjust the body, which helps you maximally activate the biceps throughout the entire movement, not only in its part as is the case with standard biceps curls. Suppose you don't have a cable machine but dumbbells and a bench, use a combination of exercises behind and in front of the body. You may know from the previous video that you get maximal biceps activation with an underhand grip or rotation that ends with supination, turning the palms upwards. Moreover, each biceps head contributes differently to specific part of the supination, so doing overhand exercises to maximize biceps growth can be a mistake. Exhale during the upper part of the movement. Inhale during the lowering phase. Keep your body tight during the entire movement. If you use negative reps, exhale during the lowering phase. Although you can accelerate muscle growth by increasing your training volume, this is true to a certain extent. However, as we know, more is not always better. Be aware that the biceps are also involved in other exercises, such as some variations of horizontal and vertical pulls. Consider it in your training, because tired biceps can hinder the progress of your back. And you can even tire your biceps during back training before targeting biceps specifically. If you want to maximize the growth of specific muscles, train them at the beginning of the training when you're full of energy. This leads to a higher training stimulus and faster muscle growth. How would it be to take your physique to the next level as my team and I did? For that reason, I prepared the bonus PDF you can download in the comment section. Watch the whole bicep series on my YouTube channel. Subscribe and turn on notifications to not miss a single video.